All right. This is this is a this is one of those talks that I've been waiting to give for a while, and I didn't know when it was going to be the right time, but I think now is the time because lately I've been bumping into this issue, and it's the critical issue that differentiates the people that are being successful from the ones who are not. And it's like, I know that there's a ton of things that go into running a successful WordPress business. And you've got to have nice good systems and processes in place. And we've been talking about generating recurring revenue, and we've been talking about making sure that you have a nice development platform that you can really scale, so that you don't have to worry about all kinds of different things. So there's tons of like technical things that go into running a really successful business. But there's one critical thing that is it's one, and the interesting thing about this one thing is it's like, you can't teach it to anyone. You can't give it to anyone. It's the one thing that you have to do on your own. And that one thing is, I don't even know really what the word is for it. There's some, devotion might be a word, but I think the word that I would go with is commitment. And if you're committed to actually running the business, that's the thing that it takes, because there's so many things that are going to like beat the dream out of you, right? There's like, you beat the dream out of yourself. Often, like we talk. So to frame all of this whole thing that I want to talk to you guys about today, to frame the whole thing, there's so many things that we talk about how you can build high value websites. So like if you're currently building $500 sites, $1,000 sites, things like that, and you want to ramp that up to where you can be building $5,000 sites. Well, the first thing is you don't have to do it all at once overnight. So I know a lot of people bump into the this mindset challenge where they don't feel comfortable, ramping up from $500 to $5,000 in one proposal. That's totally fine. You can do it incrementally, as your skills improve, as the value that you can contribute improves, make your next site. If you're currently selling $500 sites, sell $1,000 sites. If you're currently selling $1,000 site, sell a $2,000 site. If you're selling a $2,000 site, sell a $4,000 site. So you can incrementally bump up. So you don't have to just crush it on the first one all the way out entirely out of your comfort zone. So there's these mindset things that can beat the dream out of you, where like you've constantly been, offering your services to people, you're trying to raise your rates, and everyone's saying no over and over. Or you feel like that you live in an area where, the people that live around you, you're just not living in an area where people can afford these kinds of services. I mean, I hear that all of the time. I think I've heard it like 3 times today already. So, so the thing of it is, we can fix those kinds of problems. Like I can show you how to, work. So basically the bottom line is, if you're able to generate more money for your client than what you're charging your client, then it's affordable. Anyone can afford it. So for example, here's an example that's really easy to grasp hold of. Some of I've seen people that pay like, $50,000 a month or something ridiculous on Facebook ads or on Google AdWords or whatever, but they're making like $100,000 off of it. And so like if someone said, hey, can you pay 50 grand for Facebook ads or whatever, somebody would, that'd blow your hair back. That's too much, But if it's making you 100 grand or 150 grand or 200 grand, then, you can do it. And so that's the point. So, and we're not talking about anything near that scale. So for example, if you can make a customer $2,000 per month, what if you charged $850 to do that? That's more than double what you're charging. So that's the kind of thing. So like if you're able to generate revenue for folks, then your services are affordable. And so, and that's not the issue though. I can show you how to do that stuff. That's not, I mean, if you don't know how to do that, if you want to learn how to do that, head over to doublestack.net/call. You'll see my schedule, pick a time that works for you, and we'll talk about your audience, what you could be charging for your services to that audience. We'll talk about how you can set up recurring revenue from that audience. We can talk about all of those things. Those are teachable things. But what's not teachable is the commitment. And like everyone sort of intuitively knows it, but it's the kind of thing that everyone's eyes seem to be closed to, or a lot of people, because like, for example, do you ever see the Karate Kid movie, like Mr. Miyagi? For some reason, this is coming to my mind right now. It's like, remember that scene where so Daniel-san, right? He's like this kid that Mr. Miyagi is teaching how to be this like awesome karate guy, like the authentic traditional way. And there's this one particular lesson where Mr. Miyagi walks up to Daniel and says, are you ready for your lesson? And Daniel's like, yeah, I guess so. And then Mr. Miyagi like sits Daniel down and they have this conversation where it's like, Daniel-san, walk on left side of road, safe. Walk on right side of road, safe. Walk in the middle, sooner or later, squish like a grape. And that's the whole point. It's like, if you're in the middle, it's not going to work out. You can't sustain anything, because if you're in the middle, if you're wishy-washy about it, if you won't commit to either doing it or not doing it, and really, if you want to succeed, you obviously can't commit to not doing it. But if you can't commit to doing what's necessary, then you can't change the way that things are happening. And it's like, so Mr. Miyagi knows that, right? So Nike knows it. It's like the just do it kind of thing. You have to commit. You have to get the grit to actually do it. And it seems to be an unteachable sort of a thing. It's people tend to either have it or they don't. And the people that don't have it now, they might get it later, but it's the only thing that really fundamentally differentiates the people that are actually succeeding from the ones who are just kind of dabbling at things. And if you really want to get an outcome, if you really want to change the way that that you're doing your business, like if you want to raise your rates, if you want to be able to shift the value, like if you want to turn the tables so that rather than you being the bobblehead saying yes and yes and yes whenever your client comes to you with whatever the needs are, if you want to turn the tables around so that you're actually saying, hey, to your client, here's how you put systems and processes in place to do things, and then now your client's turned into the bobblehead saying yes, that is a fundamental value shifting kind of a thing. And more times than not, when I get on the phone and we have these conversations, most of the time people seem to very strongly intellectually consent to these concepts. So like you hear it, it sounds good, but most people tend not to be ready to stand up and do something about it. And so my encouragement for everyone today is to think about it, to think about what you really want. And maybe it's something that you don't really want. Maybe you would prefer to do something else. And if so, that's totally fine. Nobody's forcing anybody to do anything. But the thing that I think will really alleviate a lot of your frustration is if you decide that you want to do something and then you actually commit, like devote yourself to, left side of the road, right side of the road, you commit to actually doing one of the things, then that's the most critical thing. And there's basically two ways your dream can get beaten out of you. And, but this devotion, this commitment, this like resolve might be another word, is how you protect your dream from that. And the two ways you can beat the dream out of yourself. So for example, you can go to, like every time you submit a proposal, it gets shot down, or, you're sweating the rates, sweating the price that you put on the proposal because you're afraid if it's too high, then, you're just going to lose out to businesses or other people that just charge less. And so like just time and time and time again, you just see that you can't do what you're trying to do. And so you give up because you basically have beaten the dream out of yourself with repeatedly failing at doing what you're doing. And of course, the answer to that is you don't have to keep doing what you're doing. There's ways to do, talk to somebody, talk to me, talk to somebody who's other than me, talk to somebody and figure out what it is that you can do to like change the way that you're doing your business. Because if what you're currently doing, you just are hitting this glass ceiling where you just can't bump up higher, then stop doing the same things over and over where you keep hitting the failure point and shift and start doing something different. And so that's one way to protect your dream. But here's another way that your dream gets beaten out of you. And this happens even more often than beating the dream out of yourself. And that's other people will beat the dream out of you. And oftentimes they do it they think they're caring for you. They think they're loving you. They think they're being good to you by telling you not to do something that's risky or whatever. And so they have a fear. So their fear, and like this oftentimes, I mean, I've got, people in my life that are this way, where I'll like mention something to somebody and they'll like, out of their own fear and care for me, they'll say, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. And then they'll suggest some other path that's, whatever, less whatever. I don't know. They'll suggest something else, but they're not doing it maliciously. They're not saying, I don't want you to actually live your dream because I want you to be unhappy. They're saying, I don't want you to live your dream because I'm afraid that if you try for it, you might not reach it. And so that means that you're allowing their fear to rob you of your dream. And that's a big problem. That's a really big problem. And so, and the reason that it's such a thing is because like people that you really care about and love do this to you, and they're not doing it to you to be mean to you. They think that they're helping. But the problem is it's prohibiting you from making the forward progress you need for your dream. And so, so the two things that seem to be the most prevalent ways of getting the dream beaten out of you is either you beat it out of yourself because you just constantly beat up on yourself saying, I'm not good enough to charge more, or I don't know what it takes, or I live in a bad area, or all of my clients are broke, or whatever it might be. You can just, play that story in your head over and over and beat the dream out of yourself till the point where you just give up. The other way is people that are in your life that you love say, hey, wouldn't you just be better off getting a job somewhere where you could just go to work from 9 to 5 and come home, and then you'd have more free time and a stable income and all of these other things. And you think to yourself, yeah, you could do that. But you don't want to do that. You really want to do to have your own business, to help clients, to be an entrepreneur, to use the skills that God has given to you to bless other people. You want to be able to do that stuff. And simply sitting in somebody else's cubicle working their dream isn't gonna do that for you. And so the people in your life that love and care about you, their fear that you're not able to do this is going to rob you of your dream. And so, protect your dream from that, protect what you're doing from that, and instead, get the resolve, commit. And like a huge part of it is just your mindset, because, I've been doing this for 16 years. And like sometimes I'm on the top of the world, like on the month we're making $90,000 in a month or something like that. I'm like on the top of the world. I mean, this is fantastic. And then other times, something really bad happens or whatever, or, somebody says something mean or something on social media or whatever about you. And it doesn't even have to be about your job or anything. It'd just be, something bad happens or whatever. And then you're like, oh, I just can't do this anymore. It's too hard. And the way you bust through all of that is this resolve, the just do it, the, pick a side of the road. It's just, you have to commit to doing it, and don't let other people rob you of it because of their fear. Like if they think it's too scary to, whatever it is that you're doing, respect people, of course, no need to be mean about anything, but don't let other people steal your joy and rob you of the dream of being able to run a successful business. And the shield of protection around all of that is this internal resolve. It's the commitment, it's the devotion, it's the perseverance, it's the pushing through, it's the grit. It's I don't know if there's even one word that means all that stuff, but that's really the thing that differentiates the winners from the losers. And what that means is there's going to be hard points. There's absolutely going to be hard stuff. And if you can't get through the hard stuff, then you'll never get to the easy, good wins. You'll never get to that point. And the people that are willing to push through, they're the ones who win. It's just a matter of time. You have to be able to push through to get to the point where you're now winning. And all of the other things, it doesn't matter what it is. You could never have even touched WordPress before. You could just be sitting at home thinking, man, I wish I had a job where I could, work for myself, help entrepreneurs build really cool businesses, talk to people about these really great ideas, get exposed to people that are doing awesome stuff. You want to do all of this stuff, and you're comparing that to, I guess I could just go, sit at the bank and shuffle the cards around, or sit at the cube or whatever, or, I could go work and live, I could just be a part of someone else's dream. You could do that. So, but instead of that, what you can do is you can actually have the resolve to do the thing that you want. And if you can push through, you will eventually get to the point where things are happening for you, because all of the other things you can learn. You can learn how to build websites. You can learn how to do e-commerce. You can learn how to help your clients do sales funnels and things like that. You can learn how to whatever it is that your clients are doing, you can learn stuff that will help them generate revenue for their business, and in turn that generates revenue for you. You can learn all of that stuff, but what it seems like it's very difficult to learn, and certainly I can't do this part for another person, is you can't give people that resolve. Like if you really want to you just have to have that fire on the inside of you to just crush it, and to know that it's just a matter of time. If you're dealing with a hard time, then you got to just push through it a little bit more, and don't just push through it mindlessly and repetitively doing the same mistakes over and over again. And if you feel like you're making mistakes over and over again, that's when you reach out to get help. And that's the whole point of getting this call. Like, go to doublestack.net/call, pick a time, and you can talk to me, and we'll talk about these things and see if we can uncover what these hidden mistakes are, so you don't have to keep making them over and over. And instead, you can now push through that and start winning and get past that hurdle. And so and it's a free call. We'll talk about it and get you back on the right track. So that's the point of this Facebook group. That's the point of these videos. That's the point of these free calls that we do. So if that sounds like you, go ahead and head over to doublestack.net/call. You'll see my schedule, pick a time. And after you pick a time, you'll see this little form with a couple of questions. Talk a little bit about your business and kind of what you do, who you work with, so I can prepare myself for the call to get you the most value out of it. And that's what it is. And hey, if you don't want to talk to me, talk to somebody else. But the point is, don't just keep banging your head against the wall expecting the wall to go away. Instead, why don't you just walk a few steps over and go through the door, right? But if you don't see the door, you're just going to keep banging your head into the wall over and over. And of course, that's how you beat the dream out of yourself. So that's the encouragement for today. And so, hey, it's Miguel. Hey, Miguel. And yeah, Miguel and I just talked the other day. So yeah, that was great. That was great. Thanks for joining the group. Thanks for showing up to the call here, or to the Facebook Live, man. So good stuff. Good seeing you. High five. All right. So that's really all I had to say for today. So if you want to talk with me, awesome. Let's do it. And I just wanted to encourage you to just get the resolve to just stick with it, because this is the kind of stuff that can happen. One last point about this. It's like, the reason that I'm saying that I can't like make someone do this. Like you can't really transfer this kind of resolve, this kind of fire from one person to another, because I can show some, like just yesterday, I upgraded a client from a $1,000 website to a $7,000 website last night at about 5 o'clock. And like, I could show you the contract right now, but it wouldn't matter. And the reason it wouldn't matter is because, you would probably think, oh, well, he can do it. He's been doing it all this time. It'll work for him, but I can't do it. It won't work for me. And so there's this whole like even if section, like, I could do all these things, but even if I did that, it still wouldn't work because, there's some other issue. And that's the kind of stuff that you really need to bust through, because there's no difference between me and you. I mean, we can both build websites. We can both help clients, and there's plenty of clients to go around, especially since very few people out there, especially in the WordPress community, are actually doing the things that we're talking about here. Everybody's just selling websites. Nobody's really solving problems. And so there's a lot of opportunity there for people that are really going to come to the table with some cool stuff. So that's the thing. That's the reason I feel like it can't really be easily transferred, because like I could show, my winning proposals to you or talk to you about all these concepts, but if in your head you're believing, it's just not for me, I can't do it. I've been trying for all these years or whatever, and every time I try to raise my rates, I always get shot down and I always get back to where I was. And so my encouragement to you with that is, well, stop doing it the same way. Talk to somebody, talk to me, talk to somebody else who's having success, and see if you can compare where the differences are. What are they doing that you're not doing? And those are the types of things that can be taught. Those are the kinds of things where you can say, oh, look, I was doing this, now I can start doing that, I can do that. But don't give up. That's the big thing. And when it's hard, when it's exhausting, don't give up. Instead of giving up, do something different. That's the big deal. That's the whole thing. So awesome. So that's pretty much the whole point of what I wanted to say, is just to encourage you guys to just stick with it, to get the resolve, to get the grit, to have the Nike just do it attitude, to have the Mr. Miyagi, pick the side of the road, don't get squished like a grape. So all of that is That's really the most critical aspect of running your WordPress business. And that's the thing off of which all the other things hang. And if you unpin that one thing where you suddenly believe that you just can't do it and it's not for you and it's not going to work, then it doesn't matter about all the other stuff. The whole tree just falls down. So that's the thing, guys. So, all right. So awesome. Thanks for showing up today. And if you have any questions about this sort of stuff, go ahead, leave it in the comments. I'll keep an eye on that throughout the week. And I look forward to seeing you guys Thursday. High five. Talk to you guys again soon. Oh, I've got a new camera. And so try to find the end live. All right, guys, take care. Another high five.